Welcome. As the NET examination is coming closer, we are receiving a numerous queries relating to questions that are being asked for higher education section. Now, most of the students from be it any subject, irrespective of the subject, are not much familiar with the concept of higher education, because except those who are in the field of education would have a little idea about it. Otherwise, all students who are appearing in any stream for NET examination are not familiar with the concept of higher education. So what we are trying to do in this class is we are trying to understand what kind of questions are being asked in the section on higher education based on the analysis of past papers, and then we will be covering one major topic, that is the CBCS system that has been introduced recently and the national education policy. So let's start with understanding the analysis of the past papers. So what we have done here is I have tried to go to one of our partner websites, that's doorsteptutor.com, and there we have all the questions which are categorized into various sections. So if we look onto the section of education in India, we have around 24 questions that we have here, and these are based on the papers starting 2014. So 4 sets of papers starting 2014, you have June, December, and then 2015 June and December. Now based on this, we have tried to sort out some of the important areas on which questions for higher education are asked. Now if you have a basic idea about the kind of questions that are being asked, you can easily work out those. Now some of the questions pertain to the major central universities in India. Nowadays, recently there has been a list of fake universities that has been released, that is again important. We have uploaded the recent list of fake universities at Examrace updates under the section of CBSE NET examination. So if you go on to Examrace CBSE NET, you will find the latest updates. You can check out all the latest updates related to higher education there. So you have central universities, list of fake universities, that's important. Then you have universities with foreign collaboration. So role of foreign collaboration that is coming up. Then you have virtual university, the concept of digital India which talks about e-learning. So these are some of the kind of related areas. That is one section that we will be focusing. Then you have institutes of excellence. Under institutes of excellence you have the kind of various autonomous institutes which includes IITs, IIMs, AIIMS, and their establishment, the new institutes where they are being established, the existing institutions. So you must know the name of the institutes, the regions where they are established, any new regions where they are coming up, and their year of establishment. Now besides these, other important sections on which questions are asked specifically in terms of higher education is the various organizations, like first is UGC itself, then you have MHRD, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, you have NUPA, we have recently published the report of NUPA on the website, then you have NAC. NAC is the committee that rates the various colleges and universities based in Bangalore. So these are some of the institutions. We need to be very familiar with the aims of these institutions, the objectives of these institutions, and the role of these institutions. Besides that, we need to be familiar with the various acts that are coming up. So acts under UGC, so you have the UGC 1956 Act. We must be very thorough with the act itself. Then you have the national education policy that we will be discussing further. So the various sections of the national education policy. So these are some of the things that are usually asked. Now besides these, you must also be familiar with the basic structure. So if we try to classify the basic structure, I can say you have the pre-primary, primary level or the elementary level, then you have the middle, secondary, senior secondary, and higher education. So if I draw a simple chart here, you have pre-primary, primary, you have middle, then secondary, that's 10th, senior secondary, that's 10 plus 2, and then you have the higher education. Now this is a simple structure that you must all have gone through and you must be familiar with. But what is usually asked in the examination is not the structure but any recent programs or government policies that have been implemented in any of these stages. So if we talk about the pre-primary stage, you have Anganwadis. Besides Anganwadis, you have early childhood and education program under the name of ECCE. That's the early childhood and child care and education program. Then you have the concept of Anganwadis. You have the concept of midday meals and the integrated child development scheme, the ICDS, which is run under the common needs program, the common minimum program. Then you have the primary school. Primary school is considered till 5th. Then again for the primary school, we talk about the universalization of elementary education in 2000. There was the goal of universalization of elementary education up to the child of starting from the age group of 7 to 14. Then you have middle from class 5th to 8th, 9th and 10th under secondary, 11th and 12th under senior secondary. So for senior secondary and secondary, nowadays there is a concept of open schools similar to the open universities. So these are kind of students can prepare on their own throughout the year and at the last appear for examinations. That's the concept of open school. Now plus 2 was introduced in 1988 and then you have higher education, which includes the bachelor's, master's and so on. Now besides these, there are certain nurture programs, nurture talent programs, which includes programs like Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. Now Jawahar Navodaya is a unique concept to enrich students from class 6 to 12, especially dwelling from a rural background who do not have much access to education and facilities but still are talented. So to develop the talent of those students, there has been a separate kind of schooling program which is launched under the name of Jawahar Navodayas. Then you have the nurture talent programs like NTSC, that's the National Talent Search Examination conducted by NCERT. Besides that, you have Olympiads. So these are some of the talent programs which promote students by picking up good talent and also providing scholarship to the talented students as well as the talented students who are needy. So these are the kind of structure that we talk about. Now as we focus throughout, you have ICDS, you have common minimum needs program. So these are some of the programs in which we must be very familiar with in detail. Now let's start with the new education policy. Before we start with the new education policy, let's have a quick recap of the education policy in India. So we started with the education policy in 1968 and in 1968 it was in the time of Indira Gandhi that we laid down the foundations for the first national education policy, and this national education policy tried to provide compulsory education to the children up to 14 years of age. It gave a concept of 3 language formula, that was Hindi, English and one other regional language. It talked about focusing on the ancient Sanskrit as one of a primary language, and finally it contributed around 6% to the 6% of the national income to the education sector. So these were some of the basic ideas for the 1968 policy that was launched for education, and this was the time where we talked about radical restructuring of education policy. So this was a kind of very dynamic phase for the education revolution, I could say. And then in 1986 under Rajiv Gandhi government, we had another recap of the education policy. Under this, there was the basic aim was removing disparities, nurturing the talents, equalizing education opportunity. So equal education for girl child and boy child. So education should be at par for everyone. That was considered under 1986. Then you have the expansion of the scholarship programs. You had the idea for adult education that started in rural area in 1986. Then you have new institutions coming up and the concept of rural university model that was incorporated during the Rajiv Gandhi government. Now after that, there was 1992 under VP Narasimha Rao, you had small tweaks in the existing education policy, and by 2005 under Manmohan Singh government it was implemented. The basic idea was to promote the common minimum needs program. So the common minimum program was promoted, the CMP was promoted under the 1992. We usually don't call it by the implementation year, we call it by the actual year, that's 1992. So you have the common minimum program. Then you had conducting of entrance examination at 3 levels. So first was JEE, then you had the national level engineering entrance and the state level engineering entrance. So these were the 3 levels under which competitive exams were created. The main idea of creating the competitive exams was to decrease the financial burden and the burden of evaluation for the boards. So this was the main thing that was done in 1992. However, 1992 policy is considered as a small modification or minor modification of 1986 policy. However, under the recent government, you have the new education policy which is named as New Education Policy 2016. Now what is the major idea behind this new education policy? This new education policy tries to manifest its ideas by mygov.in, and now what is the basic idea here is to get ideas from the rural areas and try to implement suggestions from as many people as possible. So the basic idea is to educate girl child for free. That's one of the basic idea that has been incorporated under it. The next idea is developing flexible education which serves the need of lot of students, and this is based on the concept of education in the United States, that's the CBCS system, the choice based credit system, which we will be discussing further. It aims to provide holistic education fulfilling the needs for literacy and skill development. So skill development and employment opportunities. So the basic aim is rather than a theoretical knowledge, moving from a theoretical to a much practical and applicative knowledge. That is the main idea, and it aims at lifelong learning. It's not that you have completed your bachelor's or master's so your education is finished. It's a continuous endeavor to pursue education, and that should not be halted due to lack of funds for any of the students who want to work further. So these are some of the basic ideas under the new education policy. Based on that, here are some of the key proposals that have been laid down by Ministry of Human Resource Development in the aim of developing the education system, or I could say working out the new education system in India. Now as per the new education policy that is being reconsidered now, the basic idea is to shift around 22% of the budget from school education to higher education. So the main focus here now becomes higher education, because it is finally the higher education that governs the quality. Then as I said, there is promotion or the idea of CBCS, that's the choice based credit system. That's another thing that has been discussed. Now there have been proposals under two sectors. One is for the higher education sector and another is for the secondary and the senior secondary, or the school section, I can say. So for higher education, there have been incorporation of 2 new IITs, 2 new IIMs and 5 new AIIMS. The 2 new IITs that have been proposed is, one is ISM, the Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, and another is in Dharwad, Karnataka. Then 2 new AIIMS is, one is in Jammu and Kashmir, the other is in Andhra Pradesh, and 2 new IIMs, one in Jammu Kashmir and Andhra Pradesh, and 5 new AIIMS at Himachal Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Jammu Kashmir, Bihar and Assam. For the schooling, what has been the main idea now is to provide a skill for every student, to nearly kind of abolish the system of midday meals. So it was found that there is a kind of lot of mishaps under the midday meals program. So now the main focus is to abolish the midday meal schemes and upgrade nearly 80,000 primary and 75,000 middle schools to the level of secondary and senior secondary. So the main focus, as we can see, is not just availing the primary education which was at the time of independence or during the era when the India got independence, but now the main focus is on higher education, and that too quality higher education. Now as you can see, the purple dots here indicate the existing IITs and the yellow dots indicate the proposed IITs. So proposed IITs are at Jammu, Dhanbad, Bhilai, Panjim, Goa, and finally Dharwad. Then you have proposed IIMs. So the purple dot indicate the existing IIMs. You must be familiar with all the existing IIMs and the new proposed IIM which is at Jammu. Then you have AIIMS. The proposed new centers for AIIMS, the main center was New Delhi. Then you had new centers that had come up across country. Then the proposed centers are Mangalgiri, Madurai, Bhatinda, Bilaspur, Gorakhpur, Raebareli and Saharsa, Bihar. So these are some of the proposed new centers for AIIMS that have been established. So these are under the centers for excellence. Now let's move on to what is CBCS. CBCS is the choice based credit system. First of all, why there is a need for a system for CBS? What is the existing system? The existing system talks about, in most of the universities, it talks about one center exam that is being conducted annually. However, in most of the countries across the world where you have quality education which is considered, you have a semester system. Considering this in mind, most of the university, or I could say UGC, is trying to focus on a semester system. To focus on the semester system, now it tries to focus on the education system that involves skill, knowledge and cooperation. So you have development of skill, development of values that are considered under the CBCS system. So what are the benefits of CBCS system? CBCS system, the main benefits are, it is not teacher centered, it is student centered. So how does the system work? The previous system, you had few courses that were fixed. So you have course 1, 2, 3 and 4 that were fixed, and out of the 4 extra courses you had to pick out any one course, and there were chances that all these 4 elective courses are not even offered at all universities. So you had to pick out just one course. Now you don't have that system. So what is, there is a kind of unified system across all universities which would work on CBCS. So that would enable you to transfer from one university to another. Then this system would allow interdisciplinary approach. So a student working in the Department of Chemistry can move on and take a paper in Department of Economics. A student working in Department of Microbiology can take a subsidiary paper in the Department of Chemistry. So that's how it provides an interdisciplinary approach, and it provides a broad area or broad spectrum for the students. So here are some of the basic areas. It's first of all a semester based system. Then the assessment is much more comprehensive and continuous since it is a semester system. So you have midterm test, you have continuous assignments. Then you have a credit system rather than the percentage system that existed in most of the conventional universities. Now it will go for a credit based system. Under the credit based system you will have grading and it's choice based. So you have the choice to choose out the optionals that you want. The grading would be from the scale of 10 to 0. 10 would be considered as outstanding, 0 would be considered as fail, and you have a credit of 7, that is B and B plus, that is considered as a minimum requirement to apply for the assistant professor in any university. So you must meet a certain grade point in order to apply as an assistant professor in certain universities. So we are discussing CBCS system because this system has been introduced under the new education policy system. As a result, it's important for specifically the July and the December 2016 paper because it's a totally new concept that has been introduced in terms of the education, the higher education system. Now if I want to categorize the CBCS system, I can categorize it into 3 sections. The first is the core, elective and the skill based. So you have the core courses, that's the compulsory courses. you have the elective courses, and finally you have the skill based courses. Now under the core courses are the core courses given by the university itself. The whole of the CBCS system works on grading. So you have the CGPA, that is cumulated towards the end. For every semester you would have the SGPA, the semester grade point assessment, and then towards the end you have the cumulative grade point assessment, that's the CGPA, and that final CGPA will determine your final merit. Now the core courses are offered by the institute itself. Under the elective courses you would have 3 options. Those 3 options would be discipline specific elective. So you have first, that is the discipline specific elective, then you have the dissertation or the project work. Now there has been a idea of compulsory dissertation or project work even during the bachelor's. Previously it was only for the masters and the MPhil students. Now that has been introduced at the bachelor's level as well. This dissertation and project work is aimed to enhance the interest of students towards research work, and finally you have the generic elective. Now the students who are working for say honors program will have to opt for 4 discipline specific and 4 generic electives that they can go for, besides for the core programs that they can go for. So when we talk about discipline specific program, they have to work out these electives from their main department in which they are studying. So for example, a student of chemistry will work out a discipline specific program from the department of chemistry itself. However, under generic elective programs you have the option of going on to a department which is not related to your department. You can go to a social sciences department, you can go to a humanities department and do a generic elective where you feel you will get a good output of it after completing your the core graduation program. So this is the 3 electives divisions that have been done. Now under the skill based program you have again 3 divisions. First is the ability enhancement. That's the first. Then you have the English communication and the MIL. So basic focus for 2 credits. So there would be 2 credits for skill based programs. So you have the English education, which is the ability enhancement compulsory course. So this would be a compulsory course, and then you would have another two credit course which is skill enhancement course, and this skill enhancement course would be based on either value based or skill based. Okay, so this would be 2 credit in terms of honors program. Now the variation for the credit would vary based on the stream that you are opting for and whether you are opting for a core bachelor's program or a honors bachelor's program. So this is the classification for the CBCS system. Besides that, you would have the non-credit courses. Those are the pass courses. Under the pass courses you will get a rating of either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. There would be no pass and fail. And the cutoff, as I said, would be minimum required B and B plus for B for individual papers and B plus in aggregate for the post of assistant professor in order to apply for the position for assistant professor. Now these are some of the basic things that you must know under the CBCS system. So we have talked about what kind of questions have been asked in the previous year's papers. The only thing that I forgot to mention here was there is kind of terminology that is very important. So you must go through the educational statistics that has been released by the MHRD. That's very important source. So brief idea on the terminology, I'll brief you shortly. So it's GER, that's the gross enrollment ratio, that's the total number of students enrolling for any specific class. I could say primaries, middle or senior secondary or secondary. Then you have the dropout ratio. The dropout rate is the number of students leaving the program after a certain class. So students who are in class 7 have left and are not moving onward to class 8 would be considered under the dropout rates. So you have the gross enrollment ratio, the dropout rate, then you have the pupil teacher ratio, how many students are there per teacher. So for standards, now say you have 1:20, that's one teacher onto every 20 students, that's must. Besides this, you have the tertiary enrollment, that's the percentage of high school graduates that enrolled in the university, and that enrollment is known as tertiary enrollment. Now, based on the tertiary enrollment, you have two kinds of mobility, the outbound mobility and the inbound mobility. Outbound mobility means the number of students who are trying to pursue their study abroad in the foreign countries as a proportion of the tertiary enrollment rate. However, inbound ratio or inbound mobility talks about number of foreign candidates coming into India and pursuing higher education as a percentage of the tertiary enrollment. So I can say students from Bhutan, Vietnam and the Nepal, nearby nations who are coming in and pursuing higher education in India would be considered under the inbound mobility rate, and they would be considered as a percentage of the tertiary enrollment rate, that's the enrollment for the higher education. However, the students going out from India to countries like US, Australia to study their higher education would be considered under outbound mobility rate. So these are some of the terminologies that you must be familiar with, and as I said, educational statistics is very important. You must cover that. That has been released by the MHRD. You can find it on that easily. These were some of the important topics that we consider are very important for examination for this year. We'll be covering more topics related to higher education in India in the further classes. You can subscribe to our channel for any further updates. Have a good day ahead.